Welcome back to Smoke Signals. I'm Matt Montgomery along with head football coach Wayne Coleman. The Fighting Indians were at home last Friday night for homecoming against the Corsicana Tigers. And Coach, not the results you were looking for. A great first half, great way the first half ended. It's almost as if you could just say, you know, let's don't let the first half end right here. Let's just keep playing, because you really finished with a flurry in that first half.
We did. We picked up a lot of momentum in the second quarter. The kids kind of got into the game, got going, and the last thing we needed was halftime at that point.
It sounds like a broken record, Coach, but you know, we talk about the physicality of 16-5A, and you said this after the ball game the other night. So, you know, we're just going to have to quit worrying about that. I mean, that's just exactly the way it's going to be. When you play a team like Corsicana with the size they had up front, they really moved that line of scrimmage at their own discretion a lot of times.
Yeah, and what happens is you watch video on an opponent, and we saw them play Corsicana play Lindale the week before, and Lindale did a really decent job of stopping the run. And Lindale's not that big up front. They run a different scheme on defense than we do, but they. You know, it's kind of deceiving. We really felt like we would be okay against the Corsicana run, and that didn't turn out to be the case.
No question, the Corsicana came into the ball game. They decided that they were going to run the football. They didn't put very many passes in the air. I think they only threw 4 times. Didn't have to. I mean, they ran the ball so well. But offensively for Jacksonville, I think you guys did a good job with your zone read. Cameron did a nice job with the quarterback, the draw plays. And you had some things going in throwing the ball to Trey out in the flat area and the bubbles and things.
Yeah, the plan on offense was we thought that they would load the box to stop the run. Ennis had success on us doing that. So we kind of went into the game wanting to spread it out, go some empty sets, set up some quarterback draws, and try to get some of their backers out of the box and take advantage of Cameron's quickness. And that worked out well in the first half.
There were several highlights to the Corsicana game. Let's take a look at some of those right now. Coach's first plays, Cameron, of course, he's good at this, scrambling.
Yeah, a lot of teams are really flushing their defensive ends outside to take away the sprint out game. Cam pulls the ball down and runs down and gets us first down.
Of course, this next play here is just a huge run at a really important time with Cameron.
Yeah,
getting the score.
Good blocking up front right there. Guys did a good job, got him a crease, and then Cam took care of the rest himself right there. And a good job by Trey Wagner not getting in the way and giving us a chance to get in the end zone.
Yeah, that was right before the first half ended. That was really at a key point. Of course, you got another score here just right after that. So his next play, we call his name a lot. Deverick Tatum came up, makes a huge sack right here from the safety position. He came all the way up.
Had a stunt called there. Deverick saw the daylight, ran through it, and made a big sack for us.
6-yard loss on that play. Now here's a big play by Corsicana down the sideline. Just not a bad coverage, just a perfect throw and catch.
Yeah, just a matter of a kid getting outrun right there. Guy's about 1/10 of a second faster than us in the 40, and that's about how much he beat us by there.
There's a turnover right here. As Terrence Silman comes away. I think that's his second fumble recovery of the year, so he picks it up. And Coach, it's just one of those games where you just Corsicana just ran the ball well. There's just no other way to say it. They had a lot of yards on the ground.
They did, and I talked to the kids after the game. After we had gotten the momentum going there in the second quarter, we came out and had a couple turnovers to start the third quarter. And you just can't make mistakes against these people. They're too good.
And offensively, though, some really good things happened, especially in the first half. I mean, the way you scored and the way you had your 2-minute offense, the drill, I mean, really worked. You can see that tempo level really improved there.
Yeah, the kids are executing the 2-minute drill really well. That's the second or third time this year that we've executed that at the end of a half or game and made plays. And they're doing good things. We just got to cut back on the mistakes, especially when you're playing quality opponents.
This week it's Lindale at Eagle Stadium, as the Eagles went down last week to John Tyler 30-20. And Coach, that score is really not indicative of how that game really was. I mean, Lindale was winning that ball game, I think 20-10 at the half, and then John Tyler shut them out in the second half. But this is a Lindale team that is really good. This is probably the best Lindale team I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, they've got a great team this year. They had that game at halftime last week. The John Tyler quarterback kind of took over in the second half and showed his athleticism, and And we've got an athletic quarterback, so there should be some things we can take away from the film from the John Tyler game.
Now, you mentioned earlier that Lindale did a good job. They were a little bit smaller than Corsicana, like Jacksonville will be going into the ball game. Will you try to stay with the same scheme in that respect, since Lindale had success against Corsicana, actually beat Corsicana 19-7?
Right. There's some things that we want to tweak, take advantage of. We've got some kids a little banged up from the other night, so there's going to be some kids in new places. And when you do that, you've got to decide, if the scheme fits them or not.
One of the things Lindale does well, and I guess it's kind of like we say this every week, they do run the ball well. Ryan Taylor's a great runner. He had a lot of yards against John Tyler in the first half, and then they kind of tightened him up in the second half. As you said, JT's offense and their quarterback took over. But Lindale, they can throw the ball with the coach's son, Mitch Metter, at quarterback, and they do a lot of good things offensively. Talk about what your defense is going to have to do to stop them.
Yeah, they're hard to stop. They've got that balance in their run game and their pass game. The quarterback, like you said, is the coach's son, a real smart kid, doesn't make mistakes. It's going to be a challenge for us. We're going to have to probably mix up our coverages a little bit more than we've been doing because that kid is so smart.
Defensively, what I understand about Lindale is they tackle very well. When they get the hands on you, you're down, and that's something that's really good about this football team in Lindale this year.
They play great team defense. When you watch their defense and you try to pick out their best defensive player, no one stands out individually. They just really run to the ball well. They play well as a unit.
This is that point of the season, Coach, where you're kind of like you're turning, you're at the halfway mark, and you're 0-2 in district, and it's now or never right now. I mean, this is when you got to get it done, and this is that stretch that we talked about, where if you can get this game, and then you got next week, with White House, and you got Nacogdoches, and you get that stretch in there, and this is where it starts, really.
Yeah, it is. The pressure's on. Your backs are against the wall. If you want to have any chance of postseason play, this game is a do or die, and we've got to approach that way as a coaching staff and as a group of players.
You mentioned injuries, nicked up. This is also the time of year where those things start they don't heal as quick because you just keep getting them hit every Friday night. How is your team physically? I know Seth Robertson's still probably going to be out, but other than him, how are you looking?
We had Zandrick Morrow got a little banged up Friday night. Cash Cleaver got banged up. We're not sure on their status right now, on where we're going to be. And, hopefully we get those kids back. But regardless, someone's going to step on the field for the Indians, and we'll put a team out there. And we've got kids that want to play, kids that have been practicing wanting playing time. So maybe those kids will get their chance this week.
I want to spend a couple minutes and talk about your sub-varsity levels. I know the JV had a big win last week against Corsicana, and talk a little bit about where the program is at those levels, because I know we come on here every week and we just talk about the varsity, sure, but there's a lot of other football going on right now in those other levels.
Yeah. Our freshmen are struggling, but I think we've got some things planned for them. Those kids haven't quit. They are fighting. They play hard. The JV got a big win last week against Corsicana. So they're improved their record to 3-2. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about them. They're doing some good things. And then the junior high kids they've gotten a scrimmage in, and they've gotten a couple games in. And I think our 7th grade is undefeated, and our 8th grade's got 1 loss. So there's good things coming. And I'm really excited about our junior high program right now. They're doing a great job over there. We've added a couple coaching positions to get those kids more coaching. And then, of course, we've got coaches going down to the intermediate school now and working with those 6th graders. So we're trying to build a program, have a solid foundation, so that this thing can grow for years to come.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people may not be aware, but in the past you'd start your program in the 7th grade, and if you continue to do that, your program's going to suffer. You got to go down below that. You got to get the kids excited. Like last Friday when you took the team over to all the different campuses when they had the Spirit Walk, I think, and what it was called, and the kids were just, I'm understanding this, especially the boys, they just were freaking out because they were seeing the team. So you're sending your coordinators down to the intermediate school, then they go over to the middle school, getting kids interested, getting them excited about playing to being a fighting Indian.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Some of these programs, Ennis and John Tyler, these really successful programs. You don't start that in the high school level. That starts down with the little kids, and some of the mistakes we see on Friday night, sometimes I think, wow, we should have learned that in junior high. That was a junior high mistake. And so we've got to get, quality coaching down at the lower levels so we get those things corrected. And the kids start learning a work ethic that you want them to have at a young age. And that way, when they get older, it's not all new to them. It's not a whole new system. It's things that they already know. It becomes habit. You want your kids doing things on the field that's already been formed as a habit that becomes natural to them.
And setting expectations. I mean, this is the way we want you to behave in the classroom. If you're going to play, then you got to do this. You got to get your grades. It's a whole program.
Yeah, it is. And you want your athletes, girls or boys, you want them to be school leaders. Mm-hmm. And that comes from the coaches going over and starting with them at a young age.
I did a TV segment 2 or 3 years ago with your coaching compadre, Jeff Traylor, when y'all were at Gilmer. Mm-hmm. And it was about East Texas football and about how these programs develop, and particularly Gilmer, and how they're so successful. And one of the pieces they asked Coach Traylor, where do you start learning getting these quarterbacks ready? He said, you guys identified them in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may not realize, that's where you really got to start looking at your players. You don't wait till they get to high school and say, hey, there's your quarterback. You got to start lower than that. And I thought 5th grade, wow, that's getting them ready.
Yeah, you want to get down there, and you want to. You're not going to pick out the quarterback in 5th grade. You're going to pick out 6 or 7 quarterbacks in 5th grade.
And that's what he said. He said you get a number of them. And,
Sure. And then as the years go by, you find out, well, this one might fit better at receiver. This one might fit better at running back, and you start. That's how a program's developed.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the radio a lot about our Jacksonville's fine arts program, the band and the choir and things. But Donnie Barrier's band program has exploded, and one of the reasons is because they've gone down to the 5th and 6th grade intermediate level, and they're walking it up. You can do the same thing with boys athletics and girls athletics, and I know that's what you guys are starting right now.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from the kids at the intermediate school and the parents. They're very excited about the things we've got going on down there.
Coach, back to Lindale. Keys to the game for the Fighting Indians to get a win this Friday night.
Well, we were just getting back in the game last week when we turned the ball over on 2 consecutive plays on offense. And it took all the momentum away from us. If we can get, obviously you always got to cut down on turnovers.
But those were the killers.
We had the momentum. We had the chance to go down and make it a 1-score game, mm-hmm. and we turned the ball over, and we can't do that. But we got to get off to a better start. This falling behind early in the game, that's not good. That mm-hmm. puts a lot of pressure on your defense when your offense doesn't score on the first 2 drives. So we got to get a fast start. We got to take care of the football.
Emotionally, where's your team right now?
Not as good as we were last week. I thought we bounced back from the Ennis game really well, but I know my kids. They'll show up. We're going to work hard this week. We've got a good plan. We've got some exciting things planned for them.
Well, it's Jacksonville versus Lindale at Eagle Stadium this Friday night. Kickoff will be at 7:30. We'll be on the air on 103.9 FM at 7 o'clock. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.